For those facing the challenges after a life-changing diagnosis of cancer, for yourself or someone in your family, there is a message of hope. Find out more on Connecting Our Community, coming up next. Tonight, we welcome Meredith McNerney, founder and executive director of A Message of Hope Cancer Fund. This lady is one incredible woman. Meredith, you have been through, I can't even begin to go from A to Z with all that you have been through, and you are still looking gorgeous, alive and well. I think the first thing I want to say is thank God you're alive. The fact that you're alive is you're young, you're vibrant, and you're here to tell a story. You have written this fabulous book called Facing Cancer, A Spiritual Journey from Pain to Peace. The fact that you have a spirit is amazing. Your spirit helped get you through this.
Absolutely.
This, I know, is what got you started with A Message of Hope Cancer Fund.
I got my life back. The last thing that I ever expected was that I would be sick again. And I had at that time a very small, what I called at the time, pimple on my face. And my brother even teased me about it. You know, what is that? And I would put pimple cream on it like any normal woman, you know, like, what is this? And after a couple of months, when it didn't go away, my family convinced me to go to the dermatologist. And I did. For the first time in my life, I'd never been to a dermatologist before, and they looked at it and said, it's a cyst. Unfortunately, you got it on your face. We can remove it and you'll have a scar about this big. All right, you know what? I've been through so much, just take it off. It's not a big deal. And I just want my life back. I just want to be healthy and thriving and be a good mom to my kids. And so they removed it and I went about my business, and I did have a tiny little scar on my face. And they sent it off for a routine biopsy, not because they were suspicious of anything at all, nor was I. And then it was my 31st birthday, and I got a phone call about 3:14 that day. And I remember the time because my husband, who's a school teacher, was coming home so we could celebrate my birthday with our daughters. And I was watching the clock for him to come home. And I picked up the phone, and on the other line was the nurse from the doctor's office where I'd had the cyst removed. And she said, we got your biopsy results back, and it's not what we expected. You have Merkel cell carcinoma. I didn't know what Merkel cell carcinoma was, so I wrote it down like anyone would. I asked her how to spell it even. And I said, what is that? She said, it's cancer. And I thought, okay. The first thing I thought, I'm a pretty positive, spirited person, so I turned it around in my head quickly. Can't be that bad. It's not even a cancer I heard of. How could a cancer that I'd never heard of be that bad?
Because you started with, you know, there you go, happy-go-lucky mare.
Right. Yeah, that was taken before.
And then what happened? I think we can see with a series of pictures that you went to
that was the first surgery.
That's your cauliflower bandage that you talked about in the book.
Yes.
And it's because it's right under the eye there, you know, on the cheek, like on the cheekbone.
That's right.
That must have been interesting, Meredith, to have that surgery and have it removed. And because I think you wrote about you had to make sure that it was not in the lymph nodes, because if it was in the lymph nodes, it could definitely be fatal.
That's right.
And luckily for you, I'm talking about your book here that I read, that was not in the lymph nodes, but they had to make sure the margins were clear, and they weren't clear, so they had to go in again. So you had several, basically you had several surgeries, and you know, you had your cheek excavated.
Absolutely.
I mean, but who cares ultimately to live?
Yes.
So you're here today.
Yes.
And you.
But all of the money that we raise goes to families that we're helping. Because we are an all-volunteer organization, no one is paid a salary, and we don't really have overhead. Everything's run out of all of our homes because we're doing it out of our hearts and passion. And so we do a lot of events in the local area. We decided that we were going to put on a gala, not really knowing what we were going to do, but we had a lot of passion and drive, so we did it, and we raised $10,000 that night.
Wow.
And that money went to a local girl who lived in Clarksburg, Maryland at the time, and her mom was a single mom, and she had been battling brain cancer. And they were in a dire situation, so we were able to pay their rent for them and their groceries and their co-pays for several months with that.